Question 1. Given the circumstances where a technician named Alvarez is required to perform maintenance on a rooftop HVAC unit near the building's edge without guardrails, she selects a personal fall arrest system FOS consisting of a full body harness, a lanyard with a deceleration device, and an anchorage point rated at 3,000 pounds. However, she clips the lanyard to a vent pipe nearby. What is the most critical error in this setup? A. Using a deceleration device on a rooftop with no vertical drop risk. B. Not positioning the anchor point directly overhead. C. Attaching the lanyard to a non-structural anchor point. D. Choosing an anchorage rated below the minimum of 5,000 pounds. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Attaching to a non-structural anchor point such as a vent pipe is a critical error and violates OSHA 29 CFR 1926.502 D15, which requires anchorages to be capable of supporting at least 5,000 pounds per employee attached or be part of a complete FOS designed by a qualified person. The vent pipe lacks the structural integrity and is not rated anchorage, rendering the system unsafe. Although 5,000 pounds is ideal, OSHA allows 3,000 pounds if engineered. However, the structural soundness of the anchor point remains essential. Question 2. Taking into account the responsibilities of an HVACR supervisor during daily planning meetings, which of the following best describes the primary objective of conducting a job hazard analysis AHA before performing elevated maintenance tasks? A. To complete a checklist for compliance documentation. B. To assign job duties based on employee hierarchy. C. To identify, evaluate, and mitigate site-specific hazards. D. To estimate completion time for billing purposes. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. A job hazard analysis AHA is a proactive tool used to identify and reduce safety risks before work begins. OSHA and ANSI point 2 recommend AHA a key practice in hazard recognition and control, especially for high-risk tasks like working at height. Its goal is hazard mitigation, not administrative record-keeping or role assignment. By systematically evaluating each step of a task, supervisors can apply controls such as fall protection, proper anchorage, and safe access methods to prevent accidents. Question 3. In the context of an HVAC technician inspecting a rooftop unit's disconnect switch, they notice heat discoloration near the lugs and slightly melted insulation on the conductor. What is the most probable cause of this condition? A. Excessive ambient rooftop temperature. B. Undersized conductor gauge. C. Loose electrical connections causing arcing. D. Overrated circuit breaker upstream. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Loose electrical connections lead to increased resistance and arcing, which in turn causes localized heating, resulting in insulation damage and discoloration. According to NEC 110.14c, torque specifications must be met to avoid such hazards. Undersized conductors can overheat but typically show load imbalance symptoms. Overrated breakers and ambient temperatures contribute to overheating over time, but not concentrated damage as described. Arcing is an immediate and localized hazard and must be addressed. Question 4. Is illustrated by a scenario where Mr. Thompson, an HVAC installer, is using an extension ladder to access a second floor roof. Which best practice should he follow to ensure compliance and safety? A. Place the ladder at a 90-degree angle to ensure vertical stability. B. Secure the ladder only at the bottom to prevent slipping. C. Ensure the ladder extends 3 feet above the landing surface. D. Position the ladder directly above the HVAC unit. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. OSHA 1926.1053 B1 mandates that ladders extend at least 3 feet above the upper landing surface to allow safe transition between levels. A 90-degree angle creates instability. Ladders should follow the 4:1 ratio rule, 1 foot out for every 4 feet up. Securing only the base doesn't prevent top movement. Ladder placement should prioritize access and stability. Proximity to equipment. Extension above the roof edge is crucial for fall prevention during entry-exit. Question 5. Through the lens of thermodynamics, how does the evaporator in an HVACR system facilitate heat absorption during the cooling cycle? A. By condensing refrigerant into liquid, which absorbs heat. B. By compressing vapor into high-pressure gas. C. by allowing low-pressure refrigerant to absorb latent heat from indoor air. D. By rejecting heat through fins and coils. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. The evaporator is where low-pressure refrigerant absorbs heat from the indoor air, causing it to evaporate. This process involves latent heat absorption, a principle in thermodynamics. The refrigerant enters as a liquid and exits as a vapor. The key function of the evaporator is cooling by evaporation, not condensation or compression. This step follows ASHRAE guidelines for understanding cooling cycles and is vital. Explaining system efficiency and performance. Question 6. In what ways can a misjudged anchorage point compromise a fall arrest system when servicing HVAC equipment on a scissor lift? A. By allowing adequate deceleration but not proper restraint. B. By preventing proper rescue planning. C. By transferring fall forces to non-load-bearing structures. D. By creating excessive swing fall distance only. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Incorrect anchorage selection, such as connecting to ductwork or railings, can cause catastrophic failure during a fall event. According to ANSI Point 18 and OSHA 1926.502, D. Anchorage points must be capable of supporting intended fall loads and be structurally sound. Scissor lifts often have designated anchor points. Using anything else can transfer fall forces to components which may collapse or detach, nullifying the FOS's effectiveness and increasing injury risk. Question 7. From a practical standpoint, when an HVAC technician reports that the suction line is frosted and the air handler is delivering reduced airflow, what should be the primary diagnostic hypothesis? A. The expansion valve is fully open. B. There is a refrigerant overcharge. C. The evaporator coil is dirty or airflow is restricted. D. The compressor is operating at low RPM. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. A dirty coil or restricted airflow causes refrigerant to remain in the evaporator longer, leading to coil frosting and reduced air delivery. This symptom points to a lack of heat exchange due to blocked airflow, which allows refrigerant to stay cold and cause condensation to freeze. Overcharge may raise pressures but doesn't cause frost-like poor airflow. Technicians should first inspect filters, blowers, and ducts. ASHRAE guidelines support prioritizing airflow issues in diagnostics. Question 8. While examining HVAC work on steep roofs, what distinguishes a fall restraint system from a fall arrest system in both function and regulation? A. Fall restraint allows for complete mobility across the surface. B. Fall restraint prevents workers from reaching a fall hazard edge. C. Fall restraint engages after a fall has occurred. D. Fall restraint systems require a shock-absorbing lanyard. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Fall restraint systems are designed to prevent access to fall hazards, not arrest a fall. According to ANSI Point 3, restraint systems limit worker movement such that they cannot physically reach the fall edge. Unlike arrest systems, they don't require energy absorbers because no fall is expected. This distinction is critical when choosing protection methods based on task and environment. Misuse of terminology lead to regulatory violations and unsafe conditions. Question 9. When faced with a fall event where a technician is suspended from a falls, what must the job site supervisor have immediately available to comply with ANSI/OSHA standards? A. Documentation of the fall protection training. B. An emergency response plan including rescue procedures. C. A signed copy of the worker JHA. D. Witness statement and site report. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Both ANSI Point 2 and OSHA 29 CFR 1926.502 D20 require site-specific rescue plans that allow for prompt retrieval of a fallen worker. Suspension trauma can begin within minutes, making fast, trained rescue essential. Training records and paperwork are important but do not satisfy this requirement. Every site using FOS must plan for emergencies, including equipment and trained personnel for immediate action. Without it, even properly worn gear may fail to prevent serious injury. Question 10. Throughout the course of implementing a fall protection program, which behavioral strategy is most effective in building a culture of safety among HVAC crews? A. Conducting frequent random site inspections. B. Mandating strict punitive consequences for all violations. C. Encouraging peer feedback and near-miss reporting. D. Limiting worker autonomy to ensure compliance. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Behavioral safety emphasizes proactive engagement over reactive discipline. Encouraging peer feedback and reporting near misses helps workers take ownership of safety culture and identify risks before they result in harm. This aligns with ANSI ESTA 2012 principles of safety management. Random inspections and disciplinary action may be tools, but they don't foster intrinsic motivation or learning. Empowering crews to speak up and improve conditions creates sustainable, positive safety behavior change. Question 11. The foundation of an HVACR instructor's legal responsibility includes reporting and managing unsafe practices. During practical session, Istalin trainee removes his body harness while still on the elevated platform to adjust it for comfort. What is the most appropriate immediate action the certified instructor should take? A. Instruct Istalin to complete the task quickly and adjust later. B. Document the incident for later review and allow work to continue. C. Immediately stop work and remove Istalin from the platform. D. Notify OSHA after the session ends. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. The instructor is legally and ethically required to act immediately when unsafe conditions arise. OSHA 1926.503 mandates that fall protection training includes active supervision and correction of violations. Allowing Istalin to remain on the platform without a harness constitutes negligence and increases liability. Immediate removal from the platform not only ensures safety but sets a precedent for accountability. Waiting to act or only documenting after the fact fails in the instructor's duty of care. Question 12. By evaluating the calibration requirements for digital refrigerant gauges, which practice ensures optimal diagnostic accuracy and safety in high-pressure HVACR systems, A. Rely on factory default settings and auto-calibration features. B. Perform field calibration using system pressure as reference. C. Calibrate gauges regularly using a certified pressure standard. D. Replace the entire gauge annually instead of calibrating. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Regular calibration using a certified pressure standard. E. G. Traceable ensures diagnostic accuracy and safety when working with pressurized systems. According to ASHRAE Guideline 41.2, instruments must be routinely checked against known values. Relying solely on auto-calibration or replacing gauges annually is not a consistent or cost-effective method. Field calibration without introduces error. Misreading refrigerant pressures can lead to overcharging, undercharging, or even equipment failure. Question 13. Considering the evidence is DUI's planning a fall protection system for a rooftop HVAC replacement. The steel I-beam she considers as an anchor is partially rusted and hasn't been load tested. What is the best course of action before she uses it as part of her fall arrest system? A. Proceed with use but shorten the lanyard to reduce fall distance. B. Use the beam only if an SRL is also part of the setup. C. A qualified person assess and approve the anchor point. D. Use a portable weighted base instead. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. OSHA 1926.502 D15 and ANSI 0.18 require anchorage points to be either load rated to 5,000 pounds or designed and approved by a qualified person. Rust and visible deterioration compromise structural integrity, and using such a point without inspection risks catastrophic failure. While weighted bases can be used, the beam may still be valid. Only qualified professional can determine its suitability. Blind substitution or personal judgment is not acceptable under regulation. Question 14. Among the various elevated work environments in HVACR, which of the following is most often overlooked but commonly hazardous when servicing attic-mounted air handlers? A. Loose electrical wiring near the unit. B. Limited ventilation and high temperature. C. Unsecured or weak walking surfaces. D. Lack of lighting at the entrance. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Unsecured or weak walking surfaces in attics are a major fall hazard. Technicians may misstep between ceiling joists and fall through drywall. OSHA 1926.501 mandates that fall hazards be assessed in all elevated environments, including confined and interior spaces. While lighting, heat, and wiring are also concerns, structural fall-through risks represent the greatest injury potential. Proper walking platforms and hazard communication are essential for attic safety. Question 15. Focusing specifically on team-based fall protection efforts, which communication method is most effective for ensuring that temporary fall hazards, e.g., missing railings or unsecured ladders, are addressed during shift changes? A. Posting written memos at entrance gates. B. Radioing updates to the foreperson only. C. Holding toolbox talks at the start of each shift. D. Sending hazard alerts via company email. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Toolbox talks are short, direct safety meetings that allow for real-time communication and feedback recommended by ANSI's Point 1. They are the most effective way to highlight and correct site-specific hazards, including those created during previous shifts. Emails and memos lack immediacy and interactivity, and radio communications may not reach all team members. Direct engagement fosters proactive safety culture and shared awareness of critical hazards. Question 16. From multiple perspectives, why is harness compatibility across brands of connectors, lanyards, and SRLS critical in a fall protection system? A. Because brand matching ensures maximum warranty. B. Because incompatible systems are harder to adjust for fit. C. Because mixed brand components may fail under dynamic load. D. Because OSHA requires use of a single brand system. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Fall protection components must be compatible and tested to work together under dynamic load conditions. ANSI Point 6 and OSHA emphasize that incompatible connectors may accidentally disengage or fail under load. It is a misconception that brand matching is mandatory. What's required is functional compatibility. Cross-brand setups are legal if tested and verified by a qualified person. Lack of proper interface testing can lead to catastrophic disconnection, especially in wire lanyards SRS. Question 17. When analyzing rescue procedures, what is the key reason that suspension trauma should be treated as a medical emergency following a fall arrest event? A. It can cause heat stroke in enclosed environments. B. Prolonged hanging impairs circulation, leading to unconsciousness. C. The harness may cause musculoskeletal injuries. D. It always indicates a spinal injury. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Suspension trauma results from the pooling of blood in the legs while hanging in a harness, which can lead to loss of consciousness and even death within minutes. OSHA and ANSI's Point 2 require that rescue plans include prompt retrieval, ideally within 5 minutes. To prevent this, it is not synonymous with heat stroke or spinal injury. Even with no visible trauma, prolonged vertical suspension can have severe systemic effects, requiring immediate medical attention. Question 18. To illustrate this point, an HVAC technician is troubleshooting a furnace that repeatedly goes into limit lockout. The filter is clean and airflow seems normal. Which component should be next in the diagnostic sequence? A. Inducer motor and pressure switch. B. Flame sensor and ignition control board. C. High limit switch and duct static pressure. D. Gas valve and regulator pressure. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. When the furnace enters limit lockout, the high limit switch is signaling overheating. If the filter and airflow appear normal, the technician must verify duct static pressure and ensure the supply ducts are not restricted or undersized. According to a CAM manual D, poor duct design can cause airflow resistance, overheating the heat exchanger. The inducer and flame sensor control different fault codes and won't affect temperature directly. Pressure-related airflow faults are key here. Question 19. The central argument for risk assessment in HVACR tasks involving elevated work is to reduce the probability of injury. What is the first step in conducting a formal risk assessment? A. Assigning PPE based on worst-case hazards. B. Rating risks as high, medium, or low. C. Identifying and listing all possible hazards. D. Reviewing incident history and OSHA logs. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. The first step in risk assessment is hazard identification, which involves listing all potential dangers associated with a task. According to ANSI's and the hierarchy of controls, understanding what hazards exist allows teams to evaluate severity and probability later. PPE assignment and rating of risks come after identification, and historical data is used as a supplement, not a starting point. Step compromises the entire mitigation strategy. Question 20. In light of recent developments, what is the most important safety consideration when using a step ladder to access an attic scuttle hole in a residential HVAC service call? A. Ensuring 3 points of contact while climbing with tools. B. Placing the ladder directly against the scuttle for quick entry. C. Having a second technician brace the ladder at all times. D. Securing the ladder to a wall stud before climbing. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. OSHA 1926.1053 B13 and best practices from NIOSH ladder safety guidelines stress maintaining 3 points of contact to reduce fall risks. This often requires hoisting tools separately or using tool belts. Bracing or securing the ladder is helpful but not always feasible in residential spaces. Direct ladder contact with scuttle openings is dangerous due to the risk of ship or slipping. Technique, not just setup, is key in safe ladder use. Question 21. Under the assumption that a technician named Mr. Bennett is assigned to service an HVAC unit on a rooftop with a parapet wall less than 30 inches high, which of the following 4 protection methods best complies with OSHA regulations and industry standards? A. Use of a personal fall arrest system anchored overhead. B. Relying on the parapet wall as a guardrail substitute. C. Employing a warning line system without additional measures. D. Using a fall restraint system attached to the parapet. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. OSHA 1926.501 B13 requires fall protection at elevations over 6 feet where guardrails are missing or inadequate. A parapet under 39 inches does not meet guardrail standards. A personal fall arrest system, FOS anchored to a certified overhead point provides effective fall prevention. Warning lines alone are insufficient unless combined with false or safety monitor. Per OSHA, fall restraint systems prevent reaching edges but are not effective if anchorage is unreliable, such as an untested parapet. Question 22. In the modern context of HVACR service calls, Harper is preparing for a rooftop unit replacement in windy conditions. During the pre-task hazard analysis, which additional hazards must be considered beyond the usual fall risks? A. Only trip hazards on the roof deck. B. Increased likelihood of tool or material displacement. C. Reduced visibility due to fog exclusively. D. Electrical hazards unrelated to wine. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Wind significantly increases the risk of displacement of unsecured tools and materials, which can cause injury or fall hazards. OSHA's guidance on rooftop work stresses considering environmental factors like wind, rain, or snow. Trip hazards and electrical risks exist, but wind specifically exacerbates airborne debris dangers. Proper securing and PPE become even more critical. JHA must account for site-specific environmental conditions to mitigate all fall and injury risks. Question 23. When presented with a situation where a worker has fallen and is suspended in a harness for an unknown duration, what is the most urgent aspect of the rescue plan to mitigate suspension trauma? A. Immediate application of first aid for hypothermia. B. Rapid lowering to the ground or stable surface. C. Gradual lowering over 30 minutes to avoid shock. D. Transport to hospital without rescue attempts. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. OSHA and ANSI standards require that suspended workers be rescued promptly to prevent suspension trauma caused by impaired blood circulation. Rapid lowering to a safe surface is critical. Delays can lead to unconsciousness or death. Gradual lowering is dangerous. Prolonged suspension worsens symptoms. Immediate rescue plans, trained personnel and equipment are mandated for compliance and worker safety. Question 24. From a practical standpoint, Mr. Sullivan sets up a straight ladder to access an HVAC condenser unit elevated 12 feet above ground level. To ensure ladder stability and safety, what is the correct angle to place the ladder according to OSHA? A. 75 degrees from horizontal, using the 4:1 ratio. B. 90 degrees vertical for maximum height. C. 60 degrees for easier climbing. D. 45 degrees for balance. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. OSHA 1926.1053 B9 requires ladders to be placed at a 4:1 ratio, meaning for every 4 feet of vertical height, the base is 1 foot out. This corresponds roughly to a 75-degree angle, providing optimal stability. A vertical 90-degree placement risks tipping backward. At 45 or 60 degrees are too shallow and risk slipping. Proper setup minimizes hazards and ensures safe access. Question 25. With respect to fall restraint systems, which of the following best explains why these systems are often preferred over fall arrest systems for tasks like roof-to-HVAC equipment inspection? A. They allow workers to safely reach edges but arrest falls instantly. B. They are less expensive and require no anchor points. C. They prevent workers from reaching fall hazard areas entirely. D. They require no training to use safely. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Fall restraint systems are designed to limit worker movement so they cannot reach the edge, thus preventing a fall entirely per ANSI 0.3 and OSHA 1926. These systems do not arrest falls but avoid the hazard zone. They typically require anchor points and training. This prevention strategy is often safer and easier to manage on rooftops where fall arrest may be impractical. Question 26. Based on the information in a scenario where an HVAC technician notices unusual noise and vibration coming from a rooftop compressor unit, what components should be prioritized for inspection to prevent mechanical failure? A. The refrigerant metering device. B. The compressor motor mounts and bearings. C. The evaporator coil fins. D. The thermostat sensor placement. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Noise and vibration in compressors typically indicate problems with motor mounts or bearings, which can cause premature failure or safety hazards if unaddressed. Regular inspection aligns with manufacturer maintenance guidelines and ASHRAE standards. Metering devices and coils usually don't cause mechanical noise. The thermostat sensors affect control, not mechanical integrity. Question 27. The fundamental question is when servicing an HVAC system with a motor-driven blower that frequently trips its circuit breaker, which of the following is the most likely root cause? A. Low refrigerant charge causing compressor overload. B. Electrical short or ground fault in the motor winding. C. Oversized breaker rated above motor specs. D. A faulty thermostat causing rapid cycling. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Frequent breaker trips suggest an electrical fault like short circuit or ground fault in motor windings causing excessive current draw. NEC Article 430 covers motor protection requirements. Low refrigerant causes compressor issues, not motor overload. Oversized breakers risk not tripping when needed, and thermostat faults cause cycling but not usually breaker trips. Question 20. By evaluating the risk factors of working on elevated platforms near energized electrical equipment, which control measure best addresses both fall and electrical hazards simultaneously? A. Use of insulated gloves alone. B. Installing guardrails and implementing lockout-tagout. C. Wearing a full body harness without other controls. D. Using a warning line and safety monitor. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Installing guardrails mitigates fall risk while lockout-tagout LOTO procedures ensure electrical denegization, addressing the electrical hazards simultaneously. OSHA standards 1910.269 and 1926.502 require layer controls. PPE alone doesn't eliminate hazards. Warning lines and safety monitors are supplementary, but insufficient alone for electrical risks. Question 29. Several experts suggest that during winter months, rooftop ice buildup presents hidden fall hazards. What precautionary action should be prioritized to prevent slip and fall incidents? A. Increasing frequency of fall arrest inspections only. B. Using sand or ice melt on roof walking surfaces. C. Prohibiting rooftop access altogether. D. Wearing insulated gloves and boots. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Applying sand or ice melt improves traction and reduces slipping risk, a practical mitigation recommended by OSHA and ANSI. While inspections and PPE help, they do not eliminate ice hazards. Prohibiting access is not always feasible, but therefore environmental control measures are the most effective. Training workers to recognize winter risks is also essential. Question 30. The general consensus is that HVACR technicians often underestimate fall risks during routine tasks. Which behavioral intervention most effectively reduces complacency and encourages safe habits? A. Strict enforcement of penalties for violations. B. Regular safety drills and peer-led safety discussions. C. Limiting breaks to maintain focus. D. Rotating job assignments frequently. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Behavioral safety studies and ANSI emphasize regular drills and peer discussions to maintain awareness and reduce complacency. Positive reinforcement and worker engagement improve compliance and safety culture more than punitive or administrative measures. Job rotation or limiting breaks have little impact on behavioral safety related to fall risks.